3, 2, 1, go!
Okay, so now as you're sculpting, you always want to save as much as possible. Just get in the habit of saving at different intervals or whenever you think about it. So just go to this little folder up here, save, and I haven't named this project, so I'm going to name it Digs because I'm in my new digs. So I like to use matte caps. We're going to go from lit PBR to matte cap. So what that is sort of a built-in lighting / material. You can just tap here, and then you have a bunch of different options that all have very different looks. I'll stick to PXG clay. Okay, so quad sphere, it's 98.3K. You'll notice if I add another quad sphere, it's only 6,000. It might be a little difficult to see. See here, it's only 6,000. But anyway, so now we have two spheres. We'll tap on the bottom one, which is the one we just added. And I did that a little fast, so you just go to add. You want to be in this little option here, and you go to add. And here's all your primitives. Primitive is just simple shape. Now, whenever you add a primitive, you're always going to have to validate it before you can use all your tools. If I look at my toolbar, most of them are grayed out. Just remember that when you see this little box with the validate, you have to validate first. So I'm going to validate it. Now I can use all my tools. So remember we have two spheres. This one up here. So let's just rename it. So we're going to go to the quad sphere that's 98.3. We'll tap these three dots, name, and I'm just going to write head. Okay. We'll go to the one below it, and maybe that'll be the body. Okay, I'm just going to pinch, give myself some room. Now this is the snap cube. Right now it says back, which means we're looking at the back. So let's just tap it again, and now we're looking at the front. It's important to know what you're actually looking at. Make sure you're on the body. You can just go to your tools and hit Gizmo. And Gizmo is like the controller. So once you tap that, we can just take the green arrow and move it down. Okay, so now the body is lower than the head. So let's tap the body. Let's go to our scene and let's duplicate this. So we'll just hit clone this. So now we have body 1, and let's make these, let's rename it to shoulders. And now we'll just take this red arrow, because we're using the gizmo still. Well, let's just use the red arrow and push it over. And then use this bigger orange circle to shrink it. Let's go to about there. Maybe I'll move it a little closer. Okay. We'll go back into our scene. Oh, I moved the body, didn't I? That's okay. So what happened is I accidentally had the body checked and not the shoulders. But it's okay, because all I have to do is rename this. And then rename this one back to body. But I should have checked. So now shoulders, we're going to add a mirror. So what that's going to do is it's going to mirror it onto the opposite side. There we go. So now we have the shoulders. We can take this whole mirror and clone. So now we have double. So we'll just make sure that you're on. Let's actually change the name. This will make it a little bit easier. So let's tap on the mirror and change this to, we'll just do hips for now. We'll go to shoulder, and then we'll just move it down with the gizmo and move it over. Let's see. Yeah, I think that is about where I want it. Let's go back to the shoulders. Let's take both of these and clone it again. And this one can be we'll just keep it at shoulders too. Let's move it down. And what I like to do is just work on one side at a time. So you can just drag this out of the mirror. and then you can just work on just one. So I'm going to make it a little bit smaller with this orange ring, and then just move it over. Okay, so now we can go ahead and connect those, and you can see it pops right back up. Let's see, let's make another one. Let's clone this, and let's do knees. So we're just going to rename it knees. We'll take this shoulder, move it down and over. The knees would probably be around here. Okay. So now let's add a cylinder. We'll tap the little gizmo here. It's kind of hidden, but it's there. Oh, that actually looks kind of nice up there. I kind of like that. Sometimes like you just make these like little mistakes that really aren't supposed to be. And what you can see actually when I tap on this, I accidentally added the cylinder inside the knee mirror. So I'm just going to long press and drag it out. Okay. And now I'm going to clone it. And the cloned one, I'm going to move down over to the arm and then shrink. And you can stretch it this way, or you can tap this little option here and you can stretch it like that. I'll go back to the gizmo. So now what you want to do is move it around so that it's connected to where it's supposed to be connected to. Let's rotate it a little bit. This is rotation. So we'll just rotate it. And these little, I'm going to move these back. And then this, I'm going to move back and then rotate a bit. Okay, now this cylinder, I want to be mirrored. So of course we just tap mirror down here, and now it's mirrored. Okay, so let's take this cylinder again, clone. I'm going to rename this legs A. Now this one we're going to tap the gizmo and move it down. And we're going to do the same thing with the legs down here. Okay, where do I actually want this? So I want it in the middle. I guess that's okay. Okay, we'll go ahead and mirror it. And then if you want, you can play around and add some more. Sometimes I like to I'll just clone it again. Maybe we want a different part of the arm. You notice I have it on a line. So you can take it off of a line because I usually keep it, well, I guess I don't really keep it on default. The reason I had it on a line is because earlier I was playing with some lights. And what a line does is it makes whatever you're working on align to the project. So up is always up, left is always left, right is always right. When you turn a line off, that means it's going to align to the object. So now you can see the top of the object is the top, left or, right is right, So it's oriented to the object and not like the screen. You know what I mean? Because we rotate it. When we rotate this, it's got its own axis. If that makes sense. But it will soon if it doesn't. I promise. Okay, we'll just move that so it's like, maybe we want a little bit more tilted. Kind of like that. Let's take these legs. We'll go to our scene menu and we'll just clone. And then we'll just bring them right down. And maybe do we want them thicker? I think we want them the same size. And of course, if you want to get a little bit more natural with it, you can move the knees up a little bit. You can rotate this part a little bit like that. Maybe not so much. A little bit like that. And then you can rotate these a little bit more like that. So it's a little bit more of a natural kind of stance. Okay, so let's use the head for some boots or feet. So in this scene menu, let's take the cylinder, clone. Whoops, I accidentally cloned twice. We'll call this feet. And we'll use the gizmo and we'll move it down, over, we'll shrink. And really you can make this any size that you want. So we'll do something like that. We'll mirror it, of course. So I think that looks great. And now it still doesn't really look like enough like a foot. So maybe we'll add a sphere, a quad sphere. I'm going to take it out of this and I'm going to rename it toes. And we'll take the gizmo, we'll move it down and forward a bit, over. So we just want to kind of make this into a little toe-ish type thing. So I'm going to flatten it. Pretend you don't see the bottom because we really only want the front part. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to stretch it with that little sphere there. And now I'm just going to kind of place it exactly where I want it on the foot. I'm going to bring it down so that the bottom is kind of going halfway. I think that works. So now let's validate this sphere, and we want to trim it because obviously it can't be round like that on the bottom. So we use the trim tool, we'll use the rectangle, and with the rectangle you tap down and you make a rectangle, and everything within that will get trimmed. Just like that. And now we want to mirror it, so we go to our scene, toes, add, mirror, and now it's mirrored to the other side. And now let's say we want to add, let's use the, let's see, let's use the torus. Let's tap it and move it all the way up. And let's rename this pincers. Oh, and let's save. I should have saved like 20 times by now. Okay, so pincers, we'll use the gizmo. Actually, that would look nice as like a seal on the top. You can tap this little donut here and it gives you more options. And here you can like make it like much thinner or something like that if you want. So if I was going to make it a seal, it would be nice and thin, maybe something like that. But see, it looks nice. It looks nice just like around that edge. Don't you think? Or is it just me? So I'm going to validate that and I'm going to clone it. I'm going to change this one to, I'm going to rename this one to head seal. I'm going to delete this. So I'm going to add a torus. We want it to be unvalidated, so we want to have this box here. Could be on the top. This little arrow brings it to the top of the bottom. So let's move this to one of these little hands. And then we want to go to this little donut, and let's take the little pink node and we'll go something like this. And now we need this to be a bit thicker. So let's see. There we go. So we'll make it big like that. And actually, no. two finger tap to undo. I think what I want to do is take the Gizmo and stretch it like this. Okay, so we have something like that. And I want to round off these edges a little bit. So can I use smooth? I don't think I can use smooth yet. I can't use it yet. Okay, so let's validate, and let's go over to this little flask here. So we'll tap the little flask, and let's see if we can just smooth this out. If we drag this, there you go, that's perfect. So I want the edges to be nice and round like that, and then I'm gonna stretch it again. Yes, I think that works. I probably should have made it a little closer together, maybe, like a little thicker. So if I undo, I can undo back to where like before I validate. And I think I want to make it thicker. I think I want to bring this up more and even a little thicker than that. I'm going to stretch it back down a little bit. I just want to make it thicker so that when I validate and then do the smooth, I can smooth it. And then stretch it, and it's just a little thicker. So I think that's a little bit better, I think. So now I'm going to shrink it. And I'm going to use the Gizmo. I'm going to use these arrows to just position it in the right spot. It'd be easier if I could line the Gizmo up with the pincer. So what I can do is press pivot, and let's see if it does if I hit audio. Nope. So I'm going to hit pivot, and then I'm just going to rotate it so that one of the arrows is pointing this way. That way when I hit pivot again, that's where the Gizmo is staying, and it just makes it a little bit easier to position it now that it's kind of oriented to the shape. Sometimes when you manipulate a shape too much, the Gizmo won't match the shape exactly, but luckily with pivot you can adjust that. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Let me stretch it a little bit. I think that looks pretty good. So look at the front, and I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so now we have the torus, which is the pincer. And now we can add a mirror to put it on the other side. And then you might want to add some details to the head, you know? So you can, if you want to make like a face, let's tap these 3 dots on the cylinder and put the post subdivision up. So this is going to make it more dense. You'll notice this number going up. So I might put it up to like 2. And then validate. So what I did is I gave it a little more resolution. So if I want to put a face in this, I can do that. Like I can use crease or something like that. Crease is a fun tool. And then I can make like eyes. I can draw eyes. If I wanted to dig the eyes out a little bit, I might use something like layer and sub. Sub is important. So if you don't have sub, it's going to add. It kind of looks like a duck. But if you hit sub, then it's going to subtract. So that's actually kind of cool. Actually, that was kind of a cool shape. Kind of like the old school like Ninja Turtle mouths. They're kind of like that. And notice with layer, you can take a layer off, and then when I lift off and go back, it's gonna move further back. Oh, I forgot I had that sphere in there. So let's move that sphere up and shrink it. And maybe we'll just put it on the top of the head for now. So that's not the best way to do the mouth, so I just erased it and then I started again. This is a better way, using the mask. This is usually the way I do the mouth. Okay, so now that's back on the head. Move it back a little bit. Okay, so now back to this cylinder. A better way to do it is to use a mask. Make sure you're on the head cylinder. And now you can just draw the shape like that. Sometimes you can make it smaller and zoom in, and you might get a little bit of a crisper line. Okay, so now we invert. We take the gizmo. So now that we inverted the mask, instead of just the part we painted being protected, we inverted it so the head is protected except for the mouth part. So now we can move this part in, and then we can just go to mask and clear it, and now we moved all of that space in. So that's definitely a better way to do it. Now, of course, we can see like the body part of the sphere, but that's okay. We'll take trim. Remember, we'll take rectangle, and then we can just go like this. We'll just cut it right here. Okay, good. So now if I just hit solo, you can see that this is cut. The cylinder is 42.2. Here's the cylinder. I'm going to move it up. Let's see. There we go. I'm just going to rename this so I don't get confused. Head blob. That's the little blob we put on top. So this is now the head. Head sill. Okay, so let's add what shape do we want? Let's use another cylinder. Tap these three little dots and do post subdivision up to 1. I think that's fine. And then we'll validate. Okay, so we'll take the gizmo and let's do snap. So there's 2 snaps. You want the one that's like an angle. We'll tap that. It should be on 90 by default. And then just rotate it, and it will only turn 90 degrees. We can go ahead and turn that off. And now we're just going to move it forward with the gizmo. So this is going to be that eye section. So what we want to do is trim this in half. So I'm going to tap trim, rectangle, and we're just going to trim it. Just like that. So it's very similar to the eye. Okay, so let's take our gizmo. We'll move it into the eye position, which means we have to shrink it. Whoops. I'm going to shrink it this way too for now. Okay, so now we just have to kind of match it up to the eye. I'm going to hit front here and then just kind of match it up. Maybe do a little stretchy. So it's something like that, essentially. That looks pretty good. It's a pretty nice shape. I think I'm going to clone it just in case. I might use it for like eyebrows. So I just clone it, and sometimes I'll just save it in case I want to use it for later. So this one, we're going to go ahead and move into the eye, into the face. And then I'm going to rotate it just so it's like really on the surface. Okay, so something like that I think works well. And now I want to stretch it. So if I take X-ray, you can look through and you can actually see how deep it's going into the head. Okay, perfect. So that's one. We'll turn X-ray off. We'll go into our scene menu. We'll add a mirror, so that will mirror it to the other side. Now I'm going to take this and clone it just in case we need those again. That's just something that I do every now and again. I should save. I have not been saving nearly enough. So now let's take this mirror. We'll validate it. So join children. So now we have one mesh, which is made up of those 2 that we just had before. So this is the new eyes X. I think I'm actually going to, I'm going to clone this just in case I need it. Okay, so now we take the head, we select it, we take the eyes, and for the eyes, we tap this little eyeball. If you have a problem doing this, just go down to advanced and uncheck these, or just, it should match mine, and then it should work. So now what we want to do is a Boolean. Boolean, Boolean. So when you press it, now you can see that that area is cut from the eyes. So let's go down to this mirror where I saved them, remember? Let's go down to this little one. So the reason I wanted to save, because sometimes I like to use one to make the shape and then another to just like have like something inside. Like, so if let's say that this is, you know, this might be like a glowing thing inside or something like that. But that's why I like to just save one. Just in case, you know, you never know. I think that looks pretty cool. Okay, so I'm gonna take smooth. Let me see what happens if I voxel remesh this alone. Yeah, I think I'm gonna voxel remesh the cylinder at 175 and then take smooth and smooth out the mouth. See how the mouth isn't smoothing as good as I want? So I might voxel remesh it a little bit lower. I think I did like 150. And really try to smooth this out. Okay, that's not too bad. And I still, here's another little detail. I want to take flatten, and then I'll just flatten this out. Let me make the flatten tool a bit bigger. Yeah. I find that sometimes just adding that extra plane, and like by plane I just mean like the flat surface, you know, like a new flat surface. Okay, and then I'll just smooth it out a little bit. I like it. It's kind of interesting. I like it. Okay, so eyes, let's just look at what this is if I want to get rid of it. If I can use it as eyebrows. If I want just one, what I'll do is I'll go to trim, uncheck symmetry, because then it'll trim both rectangle, and you can actually just trim one of them, and then go to Gizmo and do pivot, auto pivot, and it'll center on just the one of them. I want to rotate this. I actually want to fix the let's hit solo and then pivot. I want to fix this to make it a little bit easier, kind of like what we did before. So I'm just going to rotate the gizmo until it's where I want it to be. And it's something that I do all the time. It's just so useful. Hit pivot again, hit solo, and now it'll be a lot easier to maneuver. So what I want to do is, I think I want to rotate this like that. Maybe stretch it a little bit like that. Maybe a little bit more. I think I like that. Okay. And I wonder if I want to smooth this. Get those edges a little bit like cleaner and clearer. Yeah. Perfect. So I like that. So now we can go add mirror, and now we have one on the other side. Looks great. I feel like I just need some sort of let's stick with the cylinder. Let's stick with the cylinder. So I'm gonna move it up, shrink. I'm gonna switch to the little cylinder options. I want to make the bottom smaller. Okay, something like that maybe. And these, these little details, you can do whatever you want. I'm just kind of having fun with it. Oh, maybe we'll make it bigger. It's like an on-off switch. That's what it feels like, right? It feels like an on-off switch. So maybe we'll run with that. So let's tap the 3 dots. Let's do post subdivision up to 2. And then let's go down to division X. And I'm just going to run this down. It should start to round out. I think that's good. Make it a little bit bigger. We'll do something like that. And maybe we'll just go ahead and, oh, actually, let's do post subdivision up to 4. That way it's not so, that way it's like got a little bit more density. So, good. We can also go back to this little flask up top here and smooth it out some more. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, now do I want it asymmetrical? Notice how if I wanted to tilt it like it was like a power button or something, or switch, it's difficult if it's at the top of the shape. So what you want to do is, let's just do X-ray. So let's just do pivot, and then we'll move this down to the base. Pivot, X-ray. So now once it's moved down to the base, then you can adjust it. I kind of like the asymmetry of just going in like a different direction. So I think we'll keep that. And then we have a little, this cool little robot. I like it. Maybe we'll trim, maybe we'll, let's take line. And I think I just want to trim the front. There we go. Do we like that or do we not? I don't know. I think I kind of like it. So let's do cylinder. Move it up, down. Let's rotate it exactly 90 with snap. Let's shrink it. Put it right in the middle. Let's do whole. Okay, and then we'll shrink it this way. But this has some issues, so let's go ahead and voxel remesh this. There we go, that's better. And let's take this cylinder and I wonder if we can bring the division X down. Oops. Sorry, I was just messing with the... Sometimes what I do is I try to bring down this number to make everything more efficient. And a lot of times I do it without thinking of it. And I just kind of experiment. So that's kind of what just happened. I was just playing around with these just to get this number down. But you don't really have to worry about that right now. Just what's more important is just having fun with it. Again, I kind of do that just out of habit. And I realized that I was trying to record and that I did not like mention what I was doing. But it happens. I think I want, what do I want inside there? Not sure. I think that's good for now. How about this? Let's clone this. Let's shrink it. Let's undo the whole. Let's shrink it again. Oh, I kind of like that. That was kind of like funky. How about let's do trim? Oh no, let's do something we didn't do. Let's validate. Let's do split. Split's the same as trim, except it splits so the other half doesn't just like disappear. So now it's split. Let's voxel remesh at 150 or so. Doesn't really matter. We just want to kind of clean these up. I'll do the same thing. I'll voxel remesh at like 150 or so. And I want to take one piece and make it bigger. Okay, I'm going to use the flask and try to smooth it out a little bit. I'm going to do the same thing with this. flask and smooth it out a little bit. And now I just want both of these to be bigger. Wait, where's the other piece? Why are they not? Pivot, auto, pivot. Oh, there we go. Pivot, auto, pivot will usually bring the gizmo to the center point of whatever the two objects you have selected. I just want this to be bigger. There we go. Okay, let's do a quick save. Let's do a box. This is just a last minute thing. This is, other than the lighting and the coloring, I think this will be the last thing. Let's flatten it. I just feel like he needs some sort of something in his mouth. But I don't know. I don't know what I like. I don't know. Maybe I want like just like square teeth. Maybe. I don't know what would make me happy at this point. I kind of do like the square teeth, to be honest. They're kind of nice. I can smooth it out a little bit. I can add a mirror just to kind of take a peek. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, right? I kind of like it. Okay, so let's get out of lit PBR and let's add our environment back. Whoops, should be this one. We're just gonna make him a color and then do some lighting so that if you want to post it, it looks good. It looks like at least somewhat finished. So firstly, I'm just gonna take everything. Oh, I'm gonna delete all this stuff I don't need. So I'm gonna select all of this, every single piece, and then I'm gonna go to this little color block here with the line through it. That's how you color. That's how you add like color to it. So maybe we'll do something like this. We'll bring the roughness down. Shouldn't be all the way up. Okay, we'll do paint all. So now we need lights because right now it's too dark. So we want to add a light. I'm going to tap the little pencil and name this key. This is your key light. The key light's just the main light in your scene. Okay, I'm going to keep the position of it. I'm going to go 2.6, 2.7. So here is the light. We're going to tap the gizmo. You can see that it's oriented to the light, but just hit a line. And let's move it over and up. See this little arrow? That's where the light is going. So if you rotate it, that's the only thing that's going to make the light move. If your iPad doesn't lag, you can actually go into post-process. You can tap post-process. And I'm going to tap my saved settings. And then I'm going to just show you all these things. Although for the color, I think I want something a little more warm. So we'll do something like that. But something like this looks good. So let's go to my lights. Let's bring the exposure a little bit further down on the environment. Light 1, so let's clone this light and we'll name this edge. This is the other light that's going to be on the other side. So we're going to go down, over, and then rotate it so we can only see the light on the very edge of the character. So something like that looks good. Okay, so that looks great. Oh, and another thing that you should do is tap these 3 dots next to the light and hit camera. Go here, camera. Nice. We'll clone this one. R2 is what I'm going to name it. And this one I'm going to move over here and I'm going to do the same thing. I just want to see it on the edge. But what we're going to do on this side is tap this. We're going to tap like a bluish color and then drag this over like so. I like it. And we do have one more light, but I'm not sure if we're going to use it. I'm not sure if we need it. I'm going to turn the environment up, actually. So I'm going to turn the environment to 3.5 or so. Yeah, so now we're really, that's something that I've been doing. A lot of times my scenes are very dark, so I'm trying to be more conscious of making them lighter. Okay, so I like that. So in conjunction with the post-processing, obviously you can mess with all of these to kind of see what they do and to see, like, you know, what you like. Okay, oh, they kind of look nice, a bit darker. Okay, looks good. You can play with all these if you want. Add some chromatic aberration. That's always cool. I feel like this needs a little bit more color, right? Just me? Actually, it kind of looks nice with the two-tone, to be honest. But you know what I can do? I can do like the legs, maybe the arms. Maybe the switch here. Maybe the eyebrows. And the eyes inside. And then maybe you can go to, I keep saying it maybe, I don't know why I do that. It happens sometimes. So next to this, whatever this little thing is called, you can do always unlit. That's what I meant, additive. Not always unlit. You want additive and you want always unlit, because if you don't have that, it'll just be a little bit dimmer. So, and let's turn the opacity up. Looks good. So now there's some like little, it'll kind of appear like it's glowing. Anyway, I love it. I'm going to save. And that looks pretty great. Let's do a turntable. So we'll tap here. I'm going to do a screen recording. 3, 2, 1, and then I'm just going to tap turntable, and then we have our little turntable. And then we have our little robot. I forgot to color in his bottom part of his legs, but it'll be okay. I did the screen recording. I think that's the best way to get kind of a clear turntable. This number also makes a difference too. I usually keep mine at 350. I keep this all the way up to 2. You can also play with perspective now, because now it will have perspective. Let's do 3. Let's do 1 here. And if we want to export, we just go to the little folder, render, and then you can go down to screen. Maybe we'll do 1080, make it a little smaller. Okay, so now I'm going to render this, but I want the background to be transparent. Transparent background. So we'll export this. Perfect. So then we'll save. All right, I should probably send it to my computer. That's okay. So we'll save it. Let's just do front. So now I'll do that, and then I'll take another one, like profile. That way I'll have 3 different looks. Profile. So I will export it. Let's color this, maybe there, these. Maybe we'll do that, and then I always do stuff like after. I'm just gonna validate. After I already like exported, but that's okay. I'm gonna try to do another crash course. I'll do that, and I want to do another Skillshare class too. I'm way overdue. Subscribe and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you're making, or just say hi. Keep drawing, keep sculpting. I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Be sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to go more in depth, then definitely check out my Skillshare classes where I am a top teacher. I have about 50 classes, both Procreate and Nomad Sculpt. I also have a few classes on Udemy, so if you want to learn more, or you just like my style, you like the way I teach, you want to support me, those are some other places that you can do it. Thanks again. Keep drawing, keep sculpting. I'll see you all in the next video.